This is going to be an interesting show. I have a feeling.
Can I put the one? Can I throw in the one joke that I wrote, the one absolute only joke that I wrote, and it's only going to really be fan service to like 5 people?
Oh, of course.
Sure thing. My eyes are not red because I was crying because I was trying to speed run my way through my list earlier. It's only because I was really in the back smoking a joint with Van Damme.
The funny part about that is there are so many more than 5 people that would find that funny. And they've all shared a joint with Van Damme.
Yeah, it's fair.
It's a very long list.
You would also share a joint with Van Damme in the back?
What's that?
This edition of the Fairly KickAss podcast.
Hey, so this is Zach from the Fairly KickAss podcast, and we might have made a little bit of a mess of things with this most recent episode. So you'll be hearing in a few minutes the second of our Coverlutions episodes, where we take an oft-covered song and provide you with the best covers, or kind of like some of the worst covers, or like some of just the covers that exist. Okay, so we admit we didn't think it out very clearly. I thought of this whole thing and was like, oh, covers, that'll be fun. And didn't really think much past that. So one of us hit the mark a little bit better than the other two, providing an episode that makes a whole heck of a lot of sense until it doesn't make any sense. Rest assured, we have figured out all the kinks. We will have this episode type again with a much easier to follow, much better format going forward. But just bear with us. Just pretend that there's a construction sign on this episode. I think it was still very fun. I think the song in question is a beautiful, gorgeous song, one that you will not be sad to hear one time. Maybe you'll be sad to hear it the dozens of times that we did, but it is still a legendary song, written and performed by a legendary artist and covered by several other legendary artists as well. We will have something far more polished and put together for our next episode, so as always, be on the lookout for that. And until then, enjoy and keep kicking ass.
Nailed it as always.
There's a part of me that wants that to make sense, but there's a bigger part of me that hates that part of me that wants it to make sense because it's so much better when it doesn't.
Context? None needed.
No, absolutely not.
I'm against it.
I mean, we barely need context for this episode because it's kind of self-explanatory, to be totally honest. This is one of our Coverlutions episodes. In fact, our second Coverlutions episode we've ever done. The premise is simple. We take an oft-covered song, and all 3 of us, that's Zach, that's Jay, that's Dan. I somehow almost forgot your names. That's the thing. We all go in a round and present our list of covers that we have found of the song in question. The goal is to be the last person standing, which means having covers that are obscure, covers that the other hosts haven't come across, maybe haven't thought of, perhaps various genres that maybe are not regularly associated with the song, etc., etc. We did the song yesterday previously. You can find it in our back catalog. We will tell you how to get there at the end of the episode. Today, we are covering the Shrek classic Hallelujah. Wait, sorry, the Leonard Cohen classic Hallelujah. Apologies.
No, you got it right the first time.
A song that probably all of you have heard at least a few different versions of throughout time. If you're not familiar with the Shrek piece, certainly we'll be covering that as we go along. It's a thing with the song, but there are just probably hundreds and hundreds of covers. I think 500-ish that were recognized by the RIAA, and then obviously several others besides that. Mm-hmm. And understandably so. It's a beautifully written song. It's a beautifully performed song. There are many different ways of interpreting it, which we'll certainly cover, no pun intended. Yeah, it's a classic. It is, in every sense of the word, it's a classic. It's a standard.
It's a standard. I've performed it many times myself.
And I think it's something on on the back of what you said is that Cohen himself has, throughout his life, kind of changed his view of what it actually means. So when the original writer has left it that wide open to interpretation, I think it's interesting to kind of get what each person who performs it takes away from it and the direction they decide to go with it.
And I feel like that's what makes a truly legendary song, because if you have a song that really kind of spoon feeds you and says, this is what I'm about, this is what this song is about, that doesn't necessarily detract from it, but I feel like that ambiguity allows it to speak to more people in more ways than if you were, or if Leonard Cohen was to say, this song is about exactly this and nothing else. And I feel like it also stifles the types of covers that would be associated with the song as well, because these covers go in several different directions, several different emotions that are evoked throughout these covers. There are some that play it more to the vest. There are some that are totally out there, and everything in between. It's just a really, really cool, I feel like more so than yesterday, it was a really cool variety of different styles, even ones that were very similar, but still had a little bit of difference here, a little bit of nuance there.
So I am very much looking forward to hearing your list then, because I didn't find that.
No?
I found so very little variety in the cover versions of this song that I had to turn my brain off for a while.
Yeah.
I felt like it was a struggle for me to like pick up those nuances and decide which ones I was going to talk about during this session, because I was having a hard time telling them apart.
That's understandable.
So I'm looking forward to your list.
That is, I mean, that I feel like that is understandable, because it is a song that, well, we'll get into that. We'll get into the whole thing. I did not prepare a batting order, so I'm going to go ahead and get the usual seat of our pants random number generator out.
I was going to say, you say that like it's like some surprise that you didn't pick this. Like,
it'd be weird if I did have this.
It really would be. I would be concerned.
Just for the sake of, we're doing this elimination style again, right? Like we're last man standing. Okay,
yep,
cool.
Exactly. Yeah, we'll go around. Whoever loses their list first, which will likely be me.
Nope.
Will
guaranteed it's me. 100%.
Oh, we are going to be battling for that spot, my friend. Dan, you're going to be going first. I will be batting second, and Jay will be batting in the leadoff third position. I got all three of the baseball analogies out of the way.
So in
this is
third
the only
leading off, and first at quarterback.
Yeah, that's why there are 3 outs. There are 3 batters, 3 outs.
And then you're going second as the goaltender. Got it.
Yeah, second plate.
Yep,
that's what I'm playing.
All right. Well, I'll do. See, here's the actual strategy involved, because it's 6 of 1. Trying to figure out whether the stuffs I can talk about, and the other half is trying to knock stuff off my list that I assume is going to take a thing off of their list. So there's still some competition involved, even though this is this might be the only thing we actually compete at, so to speak.
Yeah,
which is kind of interesting. So the first thing I'll take off is the John Cale version.
Okay,
and I will always hold this version in pretty high regard personally, because this was legit how I was introduced to the song, and it'll always be part of my affinity for Scrubs, which is again how I was introduced to the song way back in season 1. Also, the vocal standard I would use if I were to perform the track is it like most closely fits my chords. Although I would totally do Cohen note for note if I actually had that vocal talent.
Can you hit that low?
Yeah, before I used to live alone, before I knew you. I cannot.
There you go. It's close enough.
So, yeah. You said the word standard. I said it earlier. Like, if we're talking about the song having its own standards, this is certainly one of them. And also, weirdly enough, the first entry into our Shrek portion of the show, because this version of the song did play during the first Shrek movie. Not the last time we'll be talking about Shrek, weirdly enough.
Nope.
Oddly enough.
Not so much.
I will go ahead and take the next one, and I'll go ahead and knock off the other Shrek component to this list, just so we don't have to talk about the movie anymore. Since I did kind of start that, I'll go ahead and end it with one Rufus Wainwright. The first version of the song that I ever heard I don't quite think it's to the level of standard that John Cale's version is, or another version that we'll certainly get to in very short order, but it holds up. It's well performed. It's really hard I feel like it's really hard to knock this song out of the park, but I also feel like it's really, really hard to blatantly fuck this song up too. And I don't think Rufus does either. I think it's perfectly lovely. And
he does a really good job.
Oh God, sorry.
No, you're good. Did you have more that you wanted to say about it?
Oh, just to tie the Shrek knot up, this is on the Shrek soundtrack. Even it never played in the movie, but is on the soundtrack for some reason. 2 different versions of the song associated with Shrek in 2 different ways. So there you go.
Yeah, and I was like, honestly, like that's the version that when I proposed this exercise that we're doing to my significant other and said, "Do you have a favorite version of Hallelujah?" And she's like, "I don't know, the one from Shrek." And she meant the Rufus Wainwright one, not John Cale. So
nice, very nice.
Not that there's a lot of difference between those two.
Not a whole lot. I don't think. Although I don't know, like Wainwright's a solid vocalist, and he gets all the emotions in the right spots. But for some reason, I don't like it as much as Cale's. I don't know if it's a first second kind of thing in my brain or just whatever reason. Like there's a couple of points where I will tonight blatantly admit, like, is the song bad? No, but do I like the voice? No, and I think that's where I'm at.
Fair. I mean, and that's fair because like I like Wainwright's version, but I like that lazy, almost hipster vocal that Wainwright has, where John Cale doesn't. His is a cleaner vocal track, but musically and melodically, there's almost no difference.
Very true. I'm starting to maybe come around to your way of thinking on this, Jay, as I look through my list, but yeah, go ahead and hit us with your first pick on your list.
Okay. I had a thought of which direction I was going to go with it, and I changed my mind as soon as you pitched it to me. So I'm going to start with the version of the song that Leonard Cohen himself said was his favorite version of the song, and that is K.D. Lang's. K.D. has a very strong voice that you don't get to hear much in the pop music that got released in the 80s and 90s, mostly 90s. But the version of the song that was released by K.D. Lang it's clean. It's not an intense version, so her vocals are the show. And that is probably, easily it's the most important part of the song. And the emotions that are there are really present in her voice. It's very plaintive, and I like that.
My question is, was there a commercial release that you were working off of, or were you also working off of her version from the 2006 Canadian Songwriters Hall of Fame induction ceremony?
There is a recording of it that was posted, but I think it is the live. Let me check on that. I did not document where it's on Spotify.
Yeah, I think all 3 of us might have went in different directions with K.D. Lang specifically, because this was released on her album Hymns of the 49th Parallel in 2004.
Okay, that is the one that's the one I was listening to.
So that's what you were listening to, Dan.
Yes.
You were listening to the Canadian Songwriters Association from 2006. I was drawn to the Vancouver Winter Olympics opening ceremony version from 2010, which is really, really fascinating that all 3 of us loved this song, but loved slightly different versions of it performed, almost 6, 7, 8 years apart.
Does that count as like 3 different versions of the song? Like it's all K.D. Lang's voice, but
yeah,
they're different versions.
They are.
It definitely sounds like it, because based on how you're describing the album version, it's mostly the same as this live 2006 version, but I think the main expressiveness in her voice is all using dynamics and dynamic range and using that power push, for lack of a better way to say it, vocally, to accentuate emotion. And that's what really got me.
Okay.
It's kind of going along, and then in the normal spots where you're expecting the rises and falls, but just the way she does it dynamically with her voice.
That is wild, y'all. I did not expect this at all, but I'm super pleased that, it shows the range that K.D. Lang has, and it shows how awesome her versions of the song truly are. And understandable that Leonard Cohen would say that this was his favorite version. or perhaps his favorite performer of it.
Yeah. Well, and mostly it's because I think it's because, like him, Katie Lang does not have a pristine voice. So like those little breaks in her voice and the non-perfection makes it more real.
Those are my favorite parts, to be totally honest.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Good shit, guys. Well, we are already off to the races, Dan. Go ahead and hit us with your next one.
All right. Well, I'll keep my same strategy up and go with the next obvious one,
Yeah.
because I think it's the one that everyone kind of looks to as the definitive version. Is probably more people have heard Jeff Buckley's version than probably any other of these. And I mean, rightfully so. It is a devastatingly beautiful version. His simple and still expressive guitar is just the perfect prop to his voice. Everything falls through mostly soft tones. It's kind of a very similar cover to the original, but you would never think of using lullaby-like to describe Leonard Cohen's version, and yet that works for Buckley.
Yeah.
But then those rises throughout, raising up Cohen's words and phrases, going from almost mournful to defiant to broken to powerful.
I'm so glad I wasn't the one to to talk about this song, because you put it so eloquently, so beautifully, so Buckley-esque in a way that I could not have achieved. So thank you for that. I was here for it. And obviously I agree with everything you say. This is certainly one of the standards, and I feel like it's flawless.
Yeah.
Since we're also on the devastatingly beautiful track, and I won't be able to talk about this one too terribly much, but the funeral of Chris Cornell did feature a beautiful version of the song performed by one Chester Bennington. To prevent me from sobbing during this recording, I will go ahead and leave it right there.
Okay.
And if y'all don't have anything to add, then Jay, I will pass it on to you.
I don't have anything to add, mostly because, nope, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to move on. I don't particularly care for Bennington's rendition of that song.
That's fair. That's super fair.
And I specifically didn't listen to it for all the reasons that you had just given.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I don't like it, but for everything that you were
Yeah.
talking about, and especially now.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's that.
Yep.
I guess I'll pull us up to a more, I'm going to go to probably the one that I enjoyed most on my list.
Yes.
And that is, there's a version that Regina Spektor did in 2005 with a cello backing her, and like her quirkiness, her quirks make this heartbreaking. I don't really know how else to explain it. She's got such an odd performance style. I mean, you might call it Soviet kitsch as her first record. But she has a weird way of maneuvering her voice that I'm drawn to it. And in this case, it made the song that much cooler.
Yeah, the delivery, the elongation of, especially during the chorus, like just haunting, just beautiful, beautiful version.
The only reason I don't have anything to contribute in it not having been on my list, it was because I could not find a good recording. All the versions, especially that live version from 05 that you're talking about, all the workers I could find were not good. So it wasn't really, I was like, it's not fair to judge it off of this, like a crap recording. So
yeah, that's fair.
No, that's always the challenge with some of these. Some of these you'll find a perfectly pristine version on Spotify, and sometimes it's a very grainy live recording from someone's cell phone on YouTube, and everything in between. So it's I totally agree. It's almost judging it from behind when there's already that kind of dip in the song, the audio quality.
yeah, so I didn't think it was fair to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What version did you think it was fair to grade?
I'll introduce a swerve early and give you a version that I absolutely hated.
Nice.
I have one of those too.
Yeah, same. Is it the same one?
I would love it. It's the same one, but I doubt it is, because I'm sure that y'all looked at the name, the Osmonds, and went, "Fuck no." And I was like, there's a chance that it's either going to be really good or really bad. And then I listened to it, and you fucking made it a Christmas song, and then didn't have the talent or the wherewithal to bother to make it funny. So you couldn't even have the excuse of doing what like Billy Mack did with his cover of that "Wet, Wet, Wet" song to go ahead and get his Christmas #1. No, you just made it. You just wrote a Christmas song and then stuck the chorus of Hallelujah in there and completely killed the life out of it. Fuck.
I did not listen to that for exactly the reasons that you thought I didn't listen to that.
Because I looked at it and it kept coming up under Christmas song, and I'm like, did I miss some point where Hallelujah kind of became one of those like semi-secular songs that just kind of got wrapped into the holidays? And I spent like 15 minutes trying to Google this, going, am I missing something? Am I missed something? And what I was missing was a bad rewrite.
First of all, thank you, because I was hoping that we would have this discussion at some point during the episode. And I didn't know how y'all would fall in the, is this a holiday song or is this not a holiday song discussion? And it sounds like you're firmly on the side of not a holiday song with me.
Yeah, not so much.
No.
It is not a holiday song.
No.
Thank goodness. That's a little bit of vindication. Also, I made it 20 seconds through the Osmond song and then I gave up because it was fucking trash.
Thank you. Okay. I'm glad I'm just not hating someone. I get a little bit of verification or vindication on that one.
I couldn't bring myself to put it on the list. It was so bad.
I figured there had to be one track where we could lightheartedly look at and go, this song was trash and we needed it off. But I will also use every excuse I can to bring up Christmas is all around us. So there's that too.
Well,
everywhere I go.
Oh no. Well, you had mentioned Christmas and you'd specifically mentioned Christmas #1. So I'll go ahead and give you a track that did hit the Christmas #1 on the UK singles chart back in 2008, which was one of the winners of the X Factor show, Alexandra Burke. The version was fine. It was kind of unremarkable. There were some high points that were maybe a little too high. But what was interesting is that it sparked a little bit of a battle with fans of Jeff Buckley's version to instead propel Buckley's version to be the Christmas #1 in the UK singles chart instead of the Alexandra Burke version. And I don't know how that ended. I don't know if Buckley's version did reach those pinnacles, but at least there was a little bit of a tete-a-tete there.
No idea. It is how it should be, though.
Oh, agreed. There's it's not very much comparison. And also, again, not a Christmas song, not a holiday song. So, Yeah, that one was kind of baffling to me.
Well, you know what, though? We have our own people trying to make this song a Christmas #1. And you know what? I'll go ahead and give you mine since it's right there. And that would be the shoehorned into their Christmas special, Pentatonics. It is not a bad version of the song, which is why I wound up with it on my list. It should not be on their Christmas special, but they did a pretty good job with it. All of the backing vocals are really well done on there, and the two that take most of the lead on the song do a really nice job of it. I like it because it is, I'm pretty sure it's all a cappella, but you can never tell on their, it should be, but you can never tell on their stuff anymore. They do some programming in the background.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And I didn't do any research, so I can't verify either way.
Fair. Well, and I had it on there because it was a unique take because it's a pentatonic song, so it's a unique sound compared to like everything else we're going to hear. But it's also, that's exactly what it is. It's a pentatonic song. Mm-hmm. Nothing wrong with it. I didn't realize it was in their Christmas special. Shouldn't have been there. That didn't work. Did they do their version of Radioactive on that Christmas special too and just kind of throw everything at the wall?
No.
Why the hell not, right? If we're just going to randomly call random songs Christmas songs, let's just get all of them out of the list.
You can rewrite Radioactive something about Santa fighting through global warming and I don't know.
I'm breathing in the ho-ho-hos. There we go. Here's your start.
Nailed it.
We did it.
We
got there. Let's do it.
Listeners, we'll give you our social media at the end of the episode so you can write the rest of the Christmas version of Radioactive for us, and we will record it if y'all write it.
I don't think that's what they'll be writing to us about that.
Oh, shit. We just had Jay, so we're going to jump back up to Dan for your next one.
Oh, okay. Man, it's an interesting... I kind of keep running through here. You mentioned there's movie connections, so let me bring up another one and see if that hits anything for you guys. Because it would be off a version done for the movie Sing, and that would be Tori Kelly.
Yep.
And that would be actually a surprisingly beautiful version with one of the more lushly orchestrated backing tracks. And she also used some of the less included verses. That is one thing, and I don't know, we haven't really talked about it, but there's a lot of lyrics to the actual song, and the vast majority don't get used in a lot of covers. I don't know, vast majority is an overstatement, but...
No, it's pretty much the same 3 verses in every version.
Right. And there's a lot of verses that get dropped for various reasons, but she used a couple of the ones that don't typically get performed, which I thought was also cool. But yeah, like the orchestration was great.
Yeah.
I've always liked Tori's voice.
Yeah, I feel like it was one of those versions that was, in the category of it's really hard to fuck this song up, and hers was not by any means the very best of the bunch, but it was still very lovely for what it was.
I don't have that one on my list. I completely glossed over that one.
I did have that one on mine.
I mean, again, you started the movie thing, so I figured, why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just scanning through to see if I had any other movie references, and unfortunately I don't. But
I think, we can sidetrack it before I hand it back to you if you want, but that's kind of one of those things. I think it was around the time that the song appeared in The Watchmen that Cohen was asked about it, and I think that's when he kind of made that infamous statement about, maybe it'd be okay if we kind of pump the brakes on using this song. And he would walk away from that several years later. But I mean, I see where he's coming from. Like at a certain point, like, sure, the royalties are great, but you guys can't think of another emotional song to fit in your flick there? No? All right.
Yeah, I saw that quote too, and I was kind of torn on it because I feel like there is certainly that sentiment of like, well, this is an easy song to just kind of inject into an emotive part of a movie / TV show / whatever. But I also feel like that's part of the glowing review of the song. Like, not every song is going to be thought of in that sort of light. So
True.
I feel like everyone who does that is almost paying homage to Leonard in a way. And I could also see him being kind of just over it, like, it's just too much. It's just too saturated. Like, I absolutely see that point too. I'm not trying to dissuade that, but at least to me, it's every one of these versions I heard, just a little bit of me was like, yeah, this is another nod to Leonard.
Yeah, good deal.
I will go ahead and give you yet another nod, and this not from the movies, but from television, performed by one Mia Catalano. Name may not sound familiar to some of you. Dan, it might sound familiar to you because that's actually a character from the show One Tree Hill. The actual artist was Kate Vogel. This was performed on a season 5 episode where Brooke's foster baby goes through heart surgery and Lucas shoved a kid as the coach of the basketball team and got suspended. And that show was a fucking whirlwind of craziness. Let me just throw that out there. Highly recommended. Yeah.
The show was sloppy in every sense of the word, and absolutely got hooked on it in college. I have no idea why. I have some ideas why.
Something about Chad Michael Murray having dead eyes.
Come on, it's not true. Bro, it's not true.
Yes, it is.
His eyes are very much alive.
No, they're not.
God.
They're definitely not. I will say this about her version, Kate Vogel's version, though, is that one listen is what it took me to A, remember that was part of the show, and then B, try to refresh my thoughts on it, and I had completely flipped on it in its favor by the end of the thing because she just added those vocal bursts towards the end, and like I feel like that interpretation took it closer to what Cohen's initial reading of what he had written.
Yeah, I have no argument there. It was, I don't remember it having been that good watching it during the episode, but yeah, surprisingly good on second listen. Jay, what do you got on that was maybe surprising to you and maybe was not surprising to you?
No, I'll do one that was surprisingly on the positive side. Surprisingly positive. I was looking at a certain point when I started realizing that melodically and musically, all of these were going to be the same or very, very similar. I started looking for alternative versions of it. Maybe someone had goosed it up a little bit and tried to do something different. And there are some really terrible metal versions of this song. And I did not include any of those on the list, but there was a band from Poland called Fedora, but they spelled it with a PH because that's what you do.
Yeah.
And they did a really good job on it. I'm not sure I would recommend all of their other stuff because I did listen to a few more things after I heard this. I was like, oh, that was decent. They call themselves alternative metal, and they start off with pretty similar, like guitar and him singing the song, and then it builds in intensity and they get to be an alternative metal band by the end. But it wasn't not in a bad way.
I remember we had some questionable like metal / rock versions of Yesterday when we did that Coverlution.
Yeah, we did.
We did, yeah.
So it's good to hear that there's at least a good version of this song that is maybe slightly better than what we listened to before.
Good might be a stretch.
Fair.
I will point out that at this point I was digging myself out of a hole and I needed something that sounded different. At the very least, this was a more interesting version than some of the others I was coming across.
Yeah. And that makes a difference. It's not about just like what's the best, what's the worst. It's like which ones are most unique, which ones catch your ear.
Yeah.
Dan, what caught your ear next on your list?
Well, I'll totally dive on my list, but I will see your Polish metal band and raise you one German metal band.
Damn
Okay.
it.
And
This last one off my list.
point you into the direction of Bonfire,
God damn it.
which is an abs. And there,
That's one of my aces in the hole.
And this was absolutely epic. This, like, the full on metal solo in the middle was great. And that's why it was one of two songs that I could put in the category that was the most fun version I had listened to. Was it good? I'm right in the middle on it. Like, it wasn't a bad rock. It wasn't a bad rock version, but definitely the most fun.
I guess the question at the end of it is, would you listen to it again intentionally?
Yes, at this one I would. Yes.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, it was surprisingly clean all the way through too.
Right?
Yeah, and a solid pick that I'm still salty about.
Well, you try to make us salty with your next one. Knock some stuff off our list.
Okay. Let's knock some stuff off. So I could only find two instances where this artist covered the song Hallelujah, but that was one Bob Dylan. They were, I think he was maybe one of, if not the first to cover this song back in the 80s. It sounded like a Bob Dylan song covering Hallelujah. And that is that's as good of an expression that I could give you. It was cool. It was Bob Dylan. It was perfect. It was wonderful. In the Bob Dylan way. No one else could perform that song like Bob Dylan does and make it sound remotely good, but Bob was able to do the things that he has done for decades. I don't know if it ended up on a record at all. That's the only thing I could not find.
So the internet has told me that Bob Dylan was the first to cover it, at least the first major artist to cover it. And some have gone so far as to say that it's the biggest favor Bob Dylan ever did for Leonard Cohen. which is probably true.
Yeah.
I actually had it on my list, but didn't get to go back and listen to it because I also assumed like it sort of has the aura of a Dylan song to begin with. So I assumed that if he actually tried to cover it, it would be a very Dylan thing for Dylan to do.
It was and is, and it's why it made my list.
Nice. Yeah, he Dylan'd all over that song.
He Dylan'd all over it.
Let's not make that a verb, please.
Too late.
Damn it.
It's better than Don Henleying. That's all I got to say.
No.
Jay, I have to hope and pray that there's not a Don Henley cover of this song anywhere in the world.
If there is, I'm going to find it because I have my loathe for Don Henley is nearly as staunch as a certain member of our podcast's loathe for Peter Cetera is. So I will probably seek it out just to see if there is one. Did not think about that. However, since you brought that up and put that image in my mind, I will now spring on you the version that I hated that I put on my list. And that was a live rendition done by Bon Jovi. I don't know if y'all came across that one. It's excruciating. He mules his way through the song and through this big long intro where he thought that Jeff Buckley was honestly the author of the song until I believe it was like Sambora who corrected him. It's bad. It's real bad. I mean, it's very Bon Jovi. You could picture this being like an outtake from, I don't know, or one of the early records, probably Crossroads or whatever, but it's not good.
I don't know if it was the same version that you came across because it didn't strike me as live. It struck me as more of like a studio production. It was labeled as stripped, raw, and real. And you would imagine the song stripped. I mean, most versions are already stripped. You have a vocalist on the piano, vocalist on the guitar. John Bon Jovi's stripped version included a pianist, a guitarist, as well as a bass player, a violinist, and several of those folks acting as supporting vocalists. So I'd love to see his full band version of Hallelujah now.
Oh no, it's very much that like in the round kind of thing. Like,
yeah.
So I watched it on YouTube. I did not find it on another streaming service. I watched it on YouTube, and there's a video of him performing it with a band.
Yeah, I think we saw the same one then. It was dog ass. It was terrible.
It's real bad.
The backing vocals did some nice harmonies, though.
Well, sure.
That's all I got. That's all I had to say about it. Like, well, I believe what I wrote for it was, if you're a fan of Mr. Jovi's voice, then it'll score well for you.
Yeah, and to his credit, the man doesn't like miss notes. He doesn't. It's not like it's a bad vocal production. Like he's hitting all of the notes, but in his voice. So that's what you get.
Yeah.
If he could just not be Bon Jovi for like 5 minutes, it would be so much better.
Right.
Yep.
It's kind of cold, actually.
A little bit. Like he should have just once he got like one of the lead roles on Ally McBeal, he should have just quit.
I don't disagree. That's the weird part of that take. Oh gosh. Dan, does your next one come with a similarly harsh take on anyone?
No. Well, actually, I think because you set me up that way, I think I have to. But I also have to throw out there the fact that I just learned today that after said Ally McBeal role, when they did their comeback record, they did it on the back of a single written by Max Martin.
Oh, yeah.
It's My Life as a Max Martin joint.
I'll be damned.
That's funny.
Yeah, we did a whole workup on Max Martin. We will tell you how to find it later in the show. It was fun.
Speaking of voices I don't like, which I suppose we can go with because you started it, so whatever.
I did. It's my fault.
I'll dive on my own list, but you know what? Chances are that I just don't like Johnny Mathis's voice, especially in his cover when he spends most of the front half of the track ducking in and out of a rather shaky falsetto. I think is the best way to put it.
That's a pretty good description of his voice.
Well, that's fair.
I lasted about as long as I did with the Osmond song. It did not make the list as a result.
Yeah, mine neither. I don't think I hated it as much as you did, but I think by the time I listened to it, I was like, yeah, it sounds like the rest of them, but it's Johnny Mathis.
It sounds like John. What's it?
Sounds like Johnny Mathis.
Sounds like Johnny Mathis. All right, cool.
Yeah, it was not ideal.
Not a deal. But I think there's the difference is that is that I left the ones that even after I listened to it went, I still left it on the list because I know I could use it in a spot like this.
Oh yeah.
Because did I mention this is apparently a competitive, which I didn't realize it was going to be until I jumped into it, and I'm just like, I want to win this one now.
Yeah, we're going claws out.
I'll say I'm down to 2 tracks, so I think I'm hosed.
Gosh, this was me last time that we did this.
Yeah,
Y'all went for like a solid 20 minutes after I had tapped out.
Yeah, I knew going into this I was not winning. I knew it.
We will see if Dan or I have more than 2 and how many more than 2 we have here as we jump into. You mentioned one that you were not fond of. I will mention one that I figured I would not be fond of and actually was, weirdly enough, because I cannot stand anything about the band Theory of a Dead Man, apparently, except for their cover of Hallelujah. It was good. It was above average. It was way better than I expected. And the music video included lead singer Tyler Connolly and a little kitten. The Tyler Colony. Fuck.
Good Lord, man.
I can't do it. I'm not going to say it anymore. That
Yevgeny Kafelnikov.
It's a hard
Jerry
name to
Dorsey.
say.
Back to Jerry Dorsey. There was a kitten in the music video is what I was trying to get at, and kittens are rad, and that's all I want to say about it anymore.
Tesui Asasopo.
Mark Philippoussis.
Tishmanga Biakabatuka.
Oh, you got the first name too.
Yeah.
That's strong. That's really strong.
That's a hard name to forget.
Yeah, I was about to say, fuck that guy.
Yeah, exactly.
So I didn't listen to the Theory of the Dead Man version because I'm aware of those guys personally, like in my life, and I wanted nothing to do with that version of the song. It might be good. I probably should have given the rut I was in, but I didn't.
Totally understandable. Yeah.
I'll say this. It's not what I expected from them, but you liked it more so because it just came off. It's like, okay, it's a pretty straight up cover and done by some rock guys that aren't rocking out, but they're just doing it.
I will say I don't think it would have landed as high for me if I didn't already despise them already. So it was kind of grading on a reverse curve, I guess.
Expectations were already low, so it's fair.
Exactly.
Right on.
Jay, how were the expectations from your next track?
So I'm going to throw one that I knew was going to be on my list before I did the re-listens. And I did re-listen just to make sure, but you remember in 2010 when Wyclef Jean decided to raise money in that Hope for Haiti thing that didn't actually raise money for Haiti? Well, there was a version done by Justin Timberlake and Matt Morris in that live production of that show. And it is the duet there. The harmonies are pristine. Probably the best harmonic version of that song on any of our lists, I would wager. Except maybe the Pentatonics one, because that's literally all they do. But it is a very well done, just piano and guitar, and surprisingly subdued for the character involved. Just really well done.
And I would posit, actually, Morris may vocally outshine Timberlake in this one.
Oh, absolutely. But it's one of the very few times when you get to see Timberlake take the back seat and do a lot of the harmonies.
True.
I'm shocked. I passed on listening to it because I figured I would not like it at all. So it was just going to be a waste of my time to listen to it. And apparently I swung on and missed.
Okay. Yeah, it is a very good version of the song.
I will definitely go back and listen to that after we're done and then never listen to the song again.
That's where I'm at.
Well, is that kind of where we're all at this point? Maybe it's gonna be a little while before we feel like pulling this one out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, no shade to the song at all. It's just you hear, dozens of versions of anything and you're going to be pulling your hair out by the end of it.
Yeah, there's a real good chance the next time I listen to the song will be when I have to sing it myself.
You know what version I won't be pulling out no matter when I decide to listen to the song again?
Which version?
Bono's.
Fucking hell.
Because I don't like it was supposed to be, it was on a tribute album with a whole bunch of artists doing covers of Leonard Cohen, and Bono became the definition of misunderstanding the assignment. Like, he missed the mark so far that his shot made it all the way around the planet and hit him in the ass. It is peak pretentious Bono. Like, actually, I tell you what it feels like. And if you know this track that I'm going to reference, I'm sorry, but it feels a lot like when Billy Idol covered Heroin for that highly misguided electronic new wave post-punk dance pile, the stuff that was the Cyberpunk album.
Yes.
That is exactly what that felt like. And that, I mean, just God.
So, my only note for the Bono version of this song was simply, can smarm be an instrument? Because dude played the smarm very well.
Yep. Yep.
Oh. The one thing I'll add to that is just a YouTube comment that I saw on this that just summed it up perfectly for me. And that was Bono is the only artist brave enough to ask, what if Leonard Cohen was really bad? And I was like, yep, nailed it. God, this was a fucking train wreck.
Oh my God.
It was real bad.
To follow in the YouTube trash version of it, it literally, it feels like Bono posted the, what if Leonard Cohen, but it was really steamed hams.
Yeah, I found myself thinking, like, what the hell? Did I accidentally click on an Arab Strap song? This is just weird. No, the Arab Strap version would have been so much better.
So much better.
No,
that would have been.
I'd have enjoyed that.
Yeah.
God damn it.
You know, the deeper I go into this list, the more I can find those where I could be like, it might be your cup of tea, but
I actually have one that is going to fall exactly into that category.
Let's go.
It's not quite as Bono's version is, but the version from Michael McDonald. It's just like we were talking about Bob Dylaning his track up. Michael McDonald's the hell out of Hallelujah on this. If he's your thing, you will love it. If he's not your thing, then don't even listen to it. It's not worth your time. It was fine. It was just very, very Michael McDonald.
Yes. And I will point this out. When he said very, very Michael McDonald through clenched teeth, it was even best. Even better. I hope that came through audibly. The note I would add to that whole thing at all, not my favorite that I've listened to, but slowing the tempo way down to allow McDonald the space to do his McDonalding plays havoc with the flow and kind of kills the vibe.
Agreed. 100% agreed.
Did his beard do the harmonies?
Of course.
His beard always does the harmonies, dude.
Yeah, that part was clean. The beard didn't miss. Jay, does your next track miss?
No, it doesn't. But it is also the last entry I have. That is my 10. That is the problem. I had 10 tracks and 2 of them were Jeff Buckley. That's not true. I made that up.
We'd allow it.
Right. No, he was only one of them. But so the last one I'm going to do is actually the most recent one that I found. It's from May of this year. That is 2024. Just in case this doesn't air until sometime in the new year, if ever.
I haven't heard it. It's new to me.
Exactly. So it would be weird if it drops in February and I said in May of this year. And that would be a live version as performed by Ed Sheeran and New Hope Gospel Choir. Surprisingly, a very heartfelt, pretty version sung by Ed Sheeran. And recently, too, like I would have believed this more of his earlier years than what he's been doing recently. But it was a passionate, heartfelt version of the song. The choir in the background was awesome and made the track what it was. Very cool to listen to.
Yeah, that was meant to commemorate the 10-year anniversary of his album. Wikipedia tells me that it's pronounced multiply. He can eat shit. It's pronounced X because it's a fucking X.
Was it produced by Elon Musk?
It might have been.
Oh.
I would not be surprised. But yeah, the version was fine.
I did have it on my list and didn't get a chance to listen to it. And I had it on because, like, as I was pointing in its direction, everything that was saying about it was it's really good, surprising given where Ed Sheeran is right now. I'm like, okay, well, give it a shot then.
I didn't see that write up, but that's basically what I just said, isn't it?
Yeah, that's why I was like, kind of disappointed I didn't get a chance to go back and actually listen to it for this.
Yeah, it was just like the Theory of a Dead Man. It was way better than I would have given it credit for. So, which unfortunately means that Jay has been eliminated from our competition, and
we have to say goodbye to one of you. Please extinguish your torch.
Dan, well, I guess it has become a 1v1 here. So, yeah, we can probably pump through the rest of these pretty quickly, I think.
Yeah, we can do that. Because I'll start and with the do I really have to explain why? Because Jennifer Hudson.
Oh yes,
adding in a backing choir really does truly make this one like a fit for a film. It's a timeless version that embraces the more religious tones in the song, but is also like a soundtrack for so many emotions.
Yeah, she's one of those that just never misses, and this is no exception.
Duh.
I will keep the lightning round going with another one that did not miss, and that was Brandi Carlile. Teamed up with the Seattle Symphony for a lovely performance that is balanced at all times between the two entities, which I feel like is really hard to do with a symphony backing, but each of them played exactly the way that they needed to. It was really, really beautiful.
The things they believe the symphony understood the assignment and decided they were going to pick up all the bonus points on that one.
Absolutely, yeah. Extra credit across the board.
We can step back to mid and go with Susan Boyle. It's fine. It's fine. Her voice is very nice here. But it's standard. It's just fine.
I was weird about this one. I thought this was one of the better ones on my list. I thought that specifically because of the nuance, because of the softer parts, because of the parts where like her voice is super powerful, but it was the other parts to me that really kind of stood out. I will give you one that should have been way better than it was, and I might catch flack from this, and I'm okay with that, is the Damien Rice version specifically performed during the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction of the man who performed and wrote the song Leonard Cohen. Like, that is the one moment that you're supposed to bring it in the song and make it absolutely flawless, and I don't think, it was fine, but I don't think Damien Rice's version was at all what it should have been for that moment.
Same thing is fine. And I don't know if you listen, you caught this when you say it, but there's some of the choruses where he actually pronounces the J in Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
And I was like, yes, he pronounced Hallelujah. And I went, my ear went, that doesn't sound what? Huh?
Yeah, I did not catch that piece at all. Maybe that's more just like the Irish pronunciation, but
I was just going to say, does that have something to do with the Irish?
That possibly. Just call my ear funny, but I'm with you. Yeah, it's like, it's just straightforward, but if you're going to do it the Hall of Fame,
yeah, exactly.
Go for it.
Exactly.
Speaking of going for it, Puddle's Pity Parties version.
Damn it. That was my other ace in the hole.
Puddle's is great, and his slightly singing contest version, also great. It's kind of it gets kind of singing contesty at the end, but you know what? It pulls it off very well.
Yeah, if you're expecting the Krusty the Clown version of Send in the Clowns from The Simpsons, this is not it. This is way better.
Yeah,
surprisingly better.
Yup.
Good pick. Shawn Mendes did the song.
Does he? Does he really? That's
like
disappointing.
It was fine. Some of his delivery is a bit stoppy and goey. That's an industry term for y'all. But
Shawn Mendes all over the track.
Shawn Mendes all over the track. But yeah, it was fine. It was mid. It was all right.
At the time of this recording, he has just dropped a new record, which I have not listened to and probably won't.
Oh, there you go. Listeners, a little behind the scenes action for you.
You guys enjoy that. Fuck, he's probably going to chart.
Oh, cool. I won't listen to it. You get to.
Fuck. You know what? In all of this, I was actually kind of seeking, and it took me a minute to find, was a country version, an actually good country version. And thankfully, we had Willie Nelson. Because Willie Nelson, God, it sounds like but it's very Willie Nelson. It has a lot looser vocal delivery, but he does it without completely losing the tempo and everything in the flow of the song. Yep, it's great.
It's amazing that he can make it his own in that such iconic, unique Willie Nelson way, but still subscribe to the form and structure of the song itself.
Yes.
Like, very, very cool version.
Yes.
And since you gave me a great country version, I will give you a not so great country version. That is Brett Young's. I wrote in my notes that I don't know why he made his voice do the things that it did. But even despite that, again, proof that it's really, really hard to fuck this song up, because it still sounded okay, despite the fact that he warbled by the best thing that I can say throughout the entire song.
You know what's really cool?
What's that?
Take everything you just said and apply it to Eric Church's version.
Perfect.
All the same criticisms there, all work the same way. His guitar tone is kind of nice, though, so it does bring a bit of a different take to the song, but that's about it.
The Eric Church version or the Brett Young version?
The Eric Church version. I didn't listen to the Brett Young version.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, the Brett Young version, everything about it is mid or worse. But still good, because the song is still good. Let's go with a fun one, because I was able to find a performance from 2005 as a part of a festival that I will go to at some point in my life, being the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, a festival of arts and culture and all kinds of wonderful things in Scotland that I am just wanting so badly to attend one day. This version of the song was a duet that was performed by Tim Minchin and Geraldine Quinn, and it was silly, it was goofy, they were kind of cracking jokes on each other. And yet, despite that, it still sounded absolutely pristine. It was like the very best karaoke version of the song that you'll ever hear. And that's derisive. Like, it was way better than any karaoke version you'll hear. Like, they absolutely knocked it out of the park. And they had fun with it.
I am disappointed in myself that I didn't catch a Tim Minchin version of this.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I know, and that one I'm fairly certain was never released on a record, but it was a really cool performance.
I keep looking for names, and I keep trying to figure out what the best way, how I can do something that's going to take something off your list too.
There's plenty to choose from.
Yeah, I'm sure there is. How about this one? Neil Diamonding all over his standard cover.
I took a pass because I hated it.
Same thing. It was there. There was no question that was Neil Diamond singing that song.
Yeah, that's the one thing I didn't expect, to have so many different versions that are like, oh, of course this is such and such. Of course this is Bob Dylan or whoever, or Neil Diamond. Like, even throughout the ones that sound similar, there still is that iconic sound that comes through. More so than Yesterday, I think. Let me give you... Oh, I did have another country one. My apologies. Leanne Rimes.
Oh. Okay.
I love Leanne Rimes' voice. I did not like Leanne Rimes' voice in this particular cover. It wasn't that it was bad. It just didn't fit. This was one of the few cases where it's like, this just doesn't sound correct to me. She sounded good. It just didn't sound right.
I did not get that one either, so I have nothing
to add to that one. Never came up with that one.
Nope.
Yeah.
But I will go ahead with one that was very meh for me as well. Just didn't seem right. A lot of people had American Idol reject Jason Castro's version of it, but man, is that guy's voice not my cup of tea.
I saw that one and I passed on it just because the only place I could find it was like, and I couldn't find an actual release of it, and the Idol performance was I agree, like, just not great enough for me to want to put it on the list.
Nope.
It felt more like an SNL performance, right? Like, like the sound just feels off. Somehow
a little too artificial, maybe. I will pull out the performance by the Royal Winnipeg Ballet, and I wanted to add that one to my list because this will mark the first and only time that I will say something nice about the city of Winnipeg on this show. So please, anyone who is from the city, anyone who reveres the city, remember this moment. I am a man of the people. Just not the people of Winnipeg.
Just remember this moment when you crash out in the first round again. That he did say something nice about you guys.
We set the regular season points record. Fuck out of here.
So did the Bruins.
Yeah. And look how they ended up. Exactly where you will.
Whole different show.
We'll keep us rolling on this show. Reel us back in.
I will just briefly say I wanted to add a version. It was a live version I couldn't find in time, but of Celine Dion and the Canadian Tenors, and I would have loved to have actually gotten to that one, but I didn't get a chance to.
Meh, you didn't miss much.
Okay, fair enough. What I did get to is an all trumpet version, a less annoying Kenny G, and that was one from one Chris Body. It's fine. It's a trumpet version. The trumpet kind of sounds like a tenor sax in some areas, but it's fine. You want an instrumental? There's an instrumental.
This was another one where we'll break. This was one of my very favorite versions. This was from at least the one I heard was from the funeral of Madeleine Albright back in 2022. And it just is so weird because it doesn't sound like the song unless you listen really, really hard. But it's there. The song is there in the background, but Chris just makes it so unique and interesting and somber. Like I thought it was really, really cool.
Okay, because I was working off the version off his 2002 album December.
Oh, maybe they might be totally different. I don't
so
know.
that may be fair. That may be fair.
I'll have to listen to the album version and see. We'll compare and contrast. But until we do that, I have another instrumental version for you, and that is from two cellos. It is performed by two cellos. It is. It is something where, kind of in contrast with the Chris Body version, it loses a lot without having the lyrics. I think the Chris Body version adds a lot of uniqueness and nuance to it. The two cellos version is just straightforward, and a lot is lost. But it's fine.
I'll continue the instrumental versions. It turns out that, there's something missing, but it's actually not a bad piece when I go to Israeli pianist Yaron Herman, who did a version with his jazz trio. And as far as jazz trios go, pretty good version. Pretty good version. Like I said, missing a little bit with no lyrics, but pretty good version.
Very nice. Very nice. Let's go to, you mentioned a trio. I have a duo for you, a duet of the song, artists Natalia and Gabrielle Rios. This version was another version that was for a Haiti relief. I think this was called Help Haiti. I don't know if it was the same as the Justin Timberlake version. I believe both of them are Belgian artists, and Natalia's version was really cool. She gave some things that were really unique to the song, and then Gabrielle Rios was there too. So would have been much better with the just Natalia version of the song, but still okay.
Man. This seems like it would get only you, so I'm going to give it a shot. Because I'm going to Sweden with the version done by First Aid Kit featuring Annika Norlin. And it's a very Swedish folk cover, mostly minimalist. And the second I heard it, I was like, this is going to be pretty high on Zach's list.
Yes, it was. I was trying to figure out how to categorize, and the best I could do is bedroom pop.
Yeah, that. I think that'd be the best way to look. I had a very difficult time trying to figure out how I felt about this song. But it definitely sounded like you.
Yeah, I loved it. Very, very, very astute. Very good call. Very good call. Let's go to one that I really loved the guitar work of, and I'll explain why that is in a minute. That was Miles Kennedy, aka the one guy from Alter Bridge that didn't come from Creed. The vocals are fine. Kind of drifting into Adam Sandler-ness towards the end, but thankfully not quite getting there. However, the guitar sounds perfect, and that is because that is the actual guitar, the actual Telecaster that was played by Jeff Buckley. Shout out to Matt's Guitar Shop in Paris for making that connection happen and allowing Miles Kennedy to bring that Telecaster to life once again.
And absolutely amazing piece of work in that one. Yeah, wholeheartedly.
Sure.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Man, I keep I'm looking at a name and I'm trying to remember now because I listened to Alison Crow's version. If I remember correctly, that was another movie. Did it not come from Zack Snyder's Justice League?
Oh, yes, it did. It did. You're right. I think there was a version she recorded for just one of her albums and then another version for the Justice League film.
The one from the Justice League, and this is all I wrote. Wow. Too much. That is the best way to describe it. It's way too much. You can way over. It is possible to way overdo Hallelujah, and she way overdid Hallelujah.
100% agree. It was almost jarring just how hard that voice goes when just kind of out of the blue. Like the big crescendo parts just go so much harder than they need to. Yeah, totally agree.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go.
How are we still going?
I don't know. I have no idea how we still have songs.
That's
left.
my question. I was like, how many songs did y'all put on a list?
Man, too many apparently. We're gonna have to.
I thought we had a cap, like we were doing it elimination style. We had a cap for the number we were supposed to have.
If we did the first time, we didn't include it the second time.
Clearly, like I stopped at 10 because that's how many I had on the first list.
On the yesterday list?
Yeah.
No, y'all had I had 30 and I was done early.
I only had 10 songs.
Then we need to revisit.
I had honorable mentions.
We need to revisit the format of this then because
that's it.
We've all missed the assignment somehow.
We should probably take this offline. Let's go though.
Yes.
Do it.
Let me come in with one that is a vocal masterpiece, and that is from Welsh classical singer Catherine Jenkins. This song just shines in the hands of many, many people, especially someone with maximum vocal command, and that's exactly what we have here. There's nothing fancy, there's no big high notes, just out-and-out vocal excellence from a classically trained, beautiful, beautiful singer.
Let me say that I did not listen to that one, but let me counter with another piece of vocal mastery and give you Michael Bolton. I laugh, but it wasn't a bad version at all. I mean, for a song like this, for an artist that tends to be melodramatic anyway, fine. There was a point probably where it does feel like it gets too cheesy, and that's where the kids choir comes in. I think there's the line. That's probably the line for that and him. But otherwise, Michael Bolton version.
It was fine. Yeah, agreed with everything you said. It was just not. It wasn't good enough to make my list, but it was still all right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If you ever wondered what the song would sound like reimagined for the Twin Peaks soundtrack, then let German electronic outfit Tangerine Dream serenade you with their version, because this is a David Lynch fever dream. Out now. I loved it clearly because I love Twin Peaks and David Lynch, but yeah, it was real weird and real cool.
I think I like the ideas here. The musical ideas are interesting, if not a little bit new agey, is where I read it. But let me tell you, the vocals are not great.
Yeah.
And they disappear in the chorus because Bruv can't hit Leonard Cohen notes, but he was still going to try and take that line.
He went there. He went for it. I respect it.
Speaking of in a different genre, another genre flip of this that really actually seems to kind of be a good fit, but the full gospel treatment by Yolanda Adams more than fits, and it takes this track to a whole nother level. The only thing I would complain about is that it's nearly 10 minutes long, but beyond that, it is perfect.
Yeah, to me, that's one you have to see the video of, just her and maybe 2 or 3 other people all around the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool during the 2021 COVID remembrance ceremony. It was a stark reminder of what's still going on and also, where we were at the height of what was going on. Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty super sad, honestly. That one really bummed me out for that reason. Let's see. One that did not bum me out, but actually got me up and dancing, which is not a quality you would expect from this song. Scary Pockets, featuring Judith Hill on vocals. The unexpected funk cover of Hallelujah. Guest vocalist Judith Hill comes in to give the funky Scary Pockets beat the treatment it deserves. And truly, The Other Side of the Pillow did not have a shot up against this rendition. It is the coolest thing on my list by far, and I absolutely loved it.
It was my favorite version by an artist that I was unaware of before starting this.
Yeah, same.
It sounds like that's what I needed on my list.
Yes, you needed this one. You absolutely needed this one. How do I get from that one? I can't go backwards and pick up Karen Ann's version, because it's another one that's understated and simple. There's a smoky element in Ann's voice that makes this a different kind of reflective song. Somehow even more singer-songwritery, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm. I honestly didn't have that one on my list at all. Did not even come across it. I did come across an English actress, though, most known for her time on the show EastEnders, who absolutely crushed this song, and that was Shona McGarty. Her version was performed at the Royal Albert Hall Festival of Remembrance It was elegant. It was big. It was just really, really suitably big, but she still absolutely nailed every single note.
I did not catch that one. I didn't even come across that one. I was searching around, so I'll have to that one. I will go back into the trip to the song versions performed on tributes and head back to the 9/11 20th anniversary tribute just a few years ago for her. And it's unbelievably beautiful. I mean, it's mournful, but casting a triumphant tone by the end. And given, where it was done, there's so many emotions, interpretations that can be read into, but at the end of the day, it was an absolutely stunning version.
Agreed.
Let's see. I'm getting down to the short hairs here, finally. Let's go with another X Factor winner, this time season 2 winner, Dutch singer Lisa Lois. It was soft, it was measured. She did have some bigger parts, but she still kind of colored within the lines of the song. It was a good version, not a great version, but a good version.
Can't help you there, but what I can give you is a blues gospel-y experience. A gritty blues version that we all deserve from one guitar impresario, Papa Chubby.
Very nice. Yeah, that one not at all on my list as well.
Actually, I never came across that one either.
I would recommend it though. The guitar work is tremendous.
I don't know if I would or would not recommend the version by the German R&B singer Xavier Naidoo. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I hope I'm pronouncing the name of his band, Sone Mannheims, correctly as well. This was one that was rather uninspired, but was a reminder that it's, again, really, really hard to completely fuck up this song. It was Hallelujah by numbers, and it still sounded okay, even despite that.
Oh. I think this may have to be it. We'll see where you feel at. But I have to finish off with one of the most unique takes I could possibly think of on this list, and that is from ukulele impresario Jake Shinabakuro. I mean, the ukulele work is second to none.
I feel like the ukulele is a completely underutilized instrument.
Certainly.
It needs more love. Well, then I will finish up with what I also thought was a really interesting cover. It wasn't a ukulele cover, unfortunately, but it was one of the very few versions of the song that I heard that included a key change, specifically from the first verse to the second, and it actually worked. And that was Dutch singer Davina Michelle. She has had some work in the Dutch in the Dutch lands, also known as the Netherlands, if you will, because I know geography. But yeah, it was not a key change that I expected. The rest of the song was kind of standard, but the key change did at least kind of help it stand out a little bit among the crowd.
Sorry, whenever you mentioned it, so you say something about a key change, and all my brain does is go to Bo Burnham. You dumb motherfuckers want a key change?
I wish he would do a cover of that song. That would probably not be good, actually. Not that I'm thinking about it,
but I started. You finished. Can you legitimately say you have another artist that you could go to?
I cannot. That was my very last song.
We went through an hour and a half for a fucking draw.
And a draw from an assignment that somehow we were very diametrically opposed on what it actually should have been. If there was not a FKA episode that is more FKA than this one, then I would love to see it.
Oh my God.
Well done, boys.
Well done indeed.
Straight to the vault.
Yeah. This was going right in the tank. Where it belongs.
Our first Patreon-only episode.
But if this does happen to make air and you would like to let us know your opinion on the song Hallelujah and who did it best be known, Zach will let you know how best to do that in the most expedient way possible.
I kind of don't even want to tell them how. It's
at Fairly KickAss, all the socials. Just go there.
All the socials. Twitter, Instagram,
fairlykickass.com.
Threads, TikTok, fairlykickass.com, like he said. fairlykickass@gmail.com. And Fairly KickAss, wherever you find your podcast, you will find us. Search for us. We're on YouTube. We're on Apple Music. We're on everything else. Just search for Spotify. We're there too.
Yep.
Yeah. We are going to burn this episode, but in the off chance that someone finds it, that's how you can get a hold of us.
Honestly, I feel like the ride-along playlist on the website for this would be excruciating.
Oh, awful. Awful.
Man, all I know is it was a cold and very broken podcast.
Podcast. It's a podcast. We're stopping.